So I started to read an article about Billie Eilish today, and apparently she likes to look in the mirror while she masturbates because it helps her with her self-image. I thought that was really fucking weird. Like, I would think millions of dollars and
Interesting.
everybody fucking liking you would be enough, but apparently she needs to look at herself while she masturbates. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't she like the poster child for like anonymity and not needing to sexualize women and all that stuff? All right. Anyway, we're here to talk about vampires. Welcome to Psycho.
Well, she's not a vampire.
She's not a vampire.
You know,
That we know.
have a reflection.
But she,
Yeah.
because she looks in the fucking mirror while she masturbates.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be
Right.
fucking weird. I don't think I could do. Maybe it's different for men. I feel like that'd be really fucking strange.
I definitely didn't see this show starting this way, but
Anyway, anyway, we got Steve Jen and Throbbing Rob Throbbert here. So,
Well, Robert of Loinsley.
good old Throbbert. All right. So tonight,
Sir
we are-
throbs a lot.
Jesus, can I get on with the fucking show, guys? You're talking about all this random shit? The fuck? All right. So tonight we're talking about vampires. I kind of figured that the best place would start would be with the granddaddy, Mac Daddy vampire writer of them all, Bram Stoker. And I got to be honest with you guys, during my research and watching movies, I kind of went down the Stoker rabbit hole here a little bit. Okay. I don't know if you guys went down the Stoker rabbit hole, but I did. I think you guys may have just like sucked on the juice that was going down the drain of the tub, but I went into the fucking pipes. You guys saw Saltworth.
Saltburn.
Saltburn, you know what the fuck I'm
Saltburn.
talking about.
Yeah.
The guy was like licking the fucking drain. It was weird. You guys probably licked the drain of Stoker though, when I was in the tubes. So that's where I'm gonna start, and then you guys can jump in when you're ready to go there. So I started off with, I went backwards a little bit, so I ended up on Nosferatu, which actually was fucking pretty good. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. It was. I haven't seen it in so long, and like since I was a kid, and I thought it was really good. Even though it's silent and in black and white, and it jumps a lot, and they use stop animation for some of the shit in there, Jen. It's pretty good.
Yay,
like
I
that
love
shit?
that. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Very much.
So, anyway, it's really interesting. So what happened is that Bram Stoker wrote Dracula, and then they made Nosferatu, right? And that was in 1922. So then from there, like Bram Stoker's wife hated fucking Nosferatu, and she thought that they ripped off her husband, and she fucking thought it was this grotesque movie. Believe it or not, Nosferatu was actually banned in England and in Sweden when it first came out. Can you imagine that shit? Like, with all the shit we got nowadays, could you imagine banning Nosferatu? Anyway, it's fucking nuts. So, needless to say, they didn't really rip off Bram Stoker's Dracula that much because his name, Nosferatu, actually just means vampire. The vampire's name was actually Count Orlok, which is a pretty sweet name.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of like the way that they described him in this one article, so I wanted to share that. But he's a skeletal bat-eared goblin with needle fangs and wide nocturnal eyes.
I like that description.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. And then Dracula is a smooth-talking, charming sexual character. So Dracula, you know, we all know that was played by Bela Lugosi, and that, of course, was in 19. What's that shit? That was in 19 fucking. You know what I'm talking about? It was 1931. It's 1931,
Oh.
obviously. So, anyway, a little bit about Max Schreck. He's the guy that played Count Orlok. He was kind of a strange dude. He was German, and he was involved in World War I on the other side. Thought you guys like that shit. Interestingly enough, Bela Lugosi fought during World War I too, and he was on our side. So go Lugosi. Anyway, Shrek actually is German for terror, and he's the guy that played Count Orlok. So that was kind of cool. And in Batman Returns in 1992, Christopher Walken played a villain named Max Schreck, which was a nod to Nosferatu, Count Orlok, guy who played Count Orlok. Anyway, so these movies are all basically the fucking same in plot. The only difference is that Nosferatu changed the names of the characters. And as we go on, there's all the different ones here. They all have a Renfield. The Renfield is batshit crazy in all of them. There's even a Renfield in the original Nosferatu there. And it's interesting too, because in Nosferatu, he was defeated by a woman who tricked him basically to be in the sunlight, and that's how he was killed. That was another difference there between Orlok and Dracula. And as well, like a lot of stuff I read is that there's like the themes of like pestilence and sickliness and stuff in Count Orlok. He's kind of this one article really described it well, that he's almost like an infiltrator. And like a germ, whereas Count Dracula was very much different. We all know him as a charming, he's basically like fucking the James Bond of vampires. Always getting the girl and all that shit. So anyway, a little bit about Bela Lugosi, because I thought that there was some interesting stuff there, is that Bela Lugosi actually ended up having a serious drug problem. And he was when he was in rehab. There's rumors that Frank Sinatra paid for his funeral, but that wasn't true. Frank Sinatra went and visited him in the hospital and gave him, I believe, it was $1,000. If you know much about the old classics, he turned down the role of Frankenstein, which I thought was pretty interesting. Yeah, he had an opiate addiction, and that was when he was in the hospital. So after his opiate addiction, he tried to come back for, another round of fame and to get back in the spotlight, and he ended up hooking up with Ed Wood. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ed Wood.
I am.
But yeah, Ed Wood did like Plan 9. He was like one of the, big guys in fucking the cheesy, campy fucking horror movies at that time. Like the 100-Foot Woman or whatever the fuck it was. Like he did a lot of that kind of shit. So yeah, he didn't really make too much of a comeback after that. And when he was buried in the Dracula cape. I thought that was
interesting.
Yeah. So we had Max Schreck, and then we went to Bela Lugosi, and then from there we went to Christopher Lee. We all know Christopher Lee. Rob, you know Christopher Lee, right?
Probably more than most.
Okay. I was going to say, man, don't hold down on me here. I know you know Christopher Lee. He was in Star Trek. No, jump on my shit. He wasn't in Star Trek. He was in Star Wars.
He was in Star Wars. Yeah.
Count Dooku.
As Count Dooku.
So that guy is a
or
fucking
Darth Tyrannus, maybe.
Darth Tyrannus, was he? Who the fuck is Darth Tyrannus?
He's Count Dooku. That's his Sith name.
Like Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Tyrannus. Yeah.
Tyrannus.
Tyrannus.
Rex. Tyrannosaurus. Oh, count.
It's like Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker. It's Count
Darth
Dooku.
Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, so Sir Christopher Frank Carandini Lee, he's an English actor, singer, and performer, or no, not performer, sorry, I did have a shot or two. A former military officer and a career spanning more than 60 years. By the way, this guy's a fucking legend, if I didn't already say that. Lee became known as an actor with a deep and commanding voice who often portrayed villains in horror and franchise films. He was born in Belgravia, London, United Kingdom. This motherfucker was 6'5". Bet you know that.
That's wild. I don't know what that's like.
60.
I just know that Lord of the Rings wouldn't have been the same without him. That's for sure.
Yeah. Fucking Lord of the Rings, Star Wars.
Saruman. Yeah.
And I've interesting facts here really quick on him, and then we're going to get to where you guys probably are. I'm kind of rushing this part because I'm sure I went deep in this hole and you guys didn't, so I'm just kind of getting us caught up here. He was involved in a secret and dangerous government work during World War II. He was cousins with the creator of James Bond. He met and geeked out over J.R.R. Tolkien. let's see. He owes a lot. I don't remember what that said. He turned down a key role in Airplane. I'm assuming that's the one with Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah.
And a key role in Halloween.
It would have been good in Halloween.
Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing used to trade Looney Tunes impressions. Christopher Lee said, here's one for you, Rob. Christopher Lee said that The Wicker Man was his best overall movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love The Wicker Man.
And Christopher Lee
original.
said he was.
I think my favorite factoid about Christopher Lee was while they were shooting the Lord of the Rings movies, he was on set and they were like, okay, or the director came up to an actor, was like, when someone stabs you in the back, just scream out. Christopher Lee came up and was like, you've never seen someone stabbed before, have you? The director looked at him and was just like, I know his past. I'm pretty sure he's talking from experience.
Yeah.
Because of all the shady stuff he did in World War II.
Yeah, he's a fucking...
And Christopher Lee was just like, this is what happens when someone gets stabbed in the back. And that's what happened in the movie because Christopher Lee made it that way.
My favorite interesting fact about him is that he was once in a porno by accident.
By accident?
Yeah, I'm not even sure what that means because I cut out a lot of the stuff just because I hit the highlights. Yeah, so he also had this is for you, Steve. He had a side gig as a metal musician. Pretty sweet. You're into the metal.
There you go.
I forgot about that.
Muhammad Ali dedicated a fight to him. Jesus Christ, how fucking badass do you have to be for Muhammad Ali to be like, this one's for you? Like,
that dude is legendary, man.
Like, what the fuck? He originally wanted to play Gandalf, not Saruman, in Lord of the Rings. And he holds the world record for oldest video game voice actor.
Nice.
All right. So that's Christopher Lee right there. I actually kind of focused on him and less on the movie because, to be honest with you, all the Dracula movies, like I said, they pretty much have the same plot. And I know that we're probably going to deep dive into Bram Stoker's 1992 Dracula. So if you're interested in seeing the variations, please go back and watch them. But I actually thought that the main actors that played Dracula were kind of more interesting than rehashing the plot over and over again. So I just wanted to share some interesting factoids, if you will. So they also made a remake of Nosferatu, and I'm probably not really going to discuss that much. It was in 1979. Played by, did you watch this one?
I have, a long time ago.
Oh, okay, you don't have notes or anything, right?
No,
no
notes.
I don't want to step on your toes. It's played by Klaus Kinski. And yeah, just watch that one. So I got more on that, but we'll go ahead and get ahead here because I know we probably got a lot to discuss. So we're going to go to Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 Dracula, starring Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins, Carrie Ellis, and Tom motherfucking Waits. Who would like to start that off? Because I know you all watched that one.
Good luck.
Just kidding. Go ahead, somebody, please.
Jen, what you got?
I didn't write a synopsis. I kind of just assumed that everybody had seen this movie.
Okay, so all of these movies,
I have notes.
All of these movies are Dracula basically moving to United Kingdom from Transylvania. He moves to London. He falls in love with the guy's wife who's handling his shit. And some of them, Renfield was the first assistant who went insane. And Nosferatu, Renfield is actually the boss of the man who goes to see Nosferatu, Dracula, sorry, Count Orlok. And it's all that. He moves there, falls in love with the woman. In some of the versions, the woman, I think, kills him in most of them. But the point is that it's basically a love story. I see Dracula as a love story. I really do.
Yes.
He's very romantic. Sure. He's very suave, debonair character. Count Dracula, like I said, man, he's like the James Bond of fucking darkness. I mean, he's just so smooth. And of course, he's got abilities beyond that where he can kind of hypnotize you and all that other shit. But yeah, all these movies, they're off of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is he moves there, he falls in love with the woman, chaos ensues, and love fails. And if you watch this 92 one, it actually is based on Vlad the Impaler, who loses his wife due to the Angry Turks playing a trick on her. saying that he died in battle when he didn't, and then he basically denounces God, becomes Dracula.
Right.
Yeah.
Dracula.
So if I remember correctly, didn't he like stab a cross or something that started bleeding, and that's how he became?
Yep.
The inception of his Dracula-ness was always a bit questionable to me, but I think the fact Gary Oldman, he's my man. I mean, that guy, kind of him and Mads Mikkelsen are probably two of my favorite actors. But the guy's been phenomenal on virtually everything he's touched. But the cool thing about that Dracula to me was that it definitely showed the more human side of him. It even in his waywardness towards the dark side and all of the decades and centuries that he lived on past that point, doing some of the evil things that he did. He was always right on the cusp of being a likable, good guy too. Somebody that you could kind of understand his plight and feel for him. At least throughout the movie, I felt that. And I forgot just how bad Keanu Reeves' acting was early on in his career. My God.
Yeah, it took him a while. He was a late bloomer.
It was pretty bad. He doesn't do a very good job with the accent.
No.
I put in my notes that it was kind of bland. Like his character was kind of bland.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch Bill and Ted or any of those things, I mean, Keanu Reeves' performance in the beginning of his career was pretty laughable, honestly. I mean, he's doing great now, but
I feel like the character is bland in general. It doesn't matter which version of the movie. That character is just like a peon for an investment firm, and is just kind of meh.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's not a lot to that character, so I don't know if it was Keanu, or maybe that's why Keanu was picked for that.
You're boring. Do this shit.
Yeah.
But that's
I
how
was
Keanu became got to where he is today. So
what was his wife to be's name? Was it Mina? Was that right?
Mina, yeah. Mina Harker.
Nina or Mina? Okay.
Mina.
I was shocked.
Mina.
There you go. Sorry. How easily she was swayed towards, I'm going to marry Keanu Reeves. He's the love of my life. And, this guy comes along and, I think I want to be with you instead.
Look into my eye.
Yeah.
I think if Keanu Reeves knew what was going on, he would have just stayed there with those three hot vampire bitches. Because I would have thought
brides.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
There's three of them, and they were all beautiful. Anyway, I digress. Jen, were you going to continue?
Oh, well, sure.
Or were you taken in by Rob's spell? Were you dazed?
So I wrote notes as I was watching it, so these might be a little weird.
Fuck it, give it to us.
Yeah. The first thing I noticed, and I did rewatch this. I watched this like a couple of times, back in the day. But I do remember, even when I first watched it, I really liked the armor. I know that's weird, kind of weird to just mention that, but
it's one of the things that stands out the most.
Yes, exactly.
Like you see that, that's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It's very
stands out.
It reminds me of like musculatures almost, like the way it's.
I can see that.
Like, yeah.
It kind of reminds. Go ahead.
Yeah, just like a red man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I put down that it reminds me of kind of like a demonic lobster, but with like red rope licorice.
Okay.
I know.
I just saw musculature,
it's
like
weird.
armor.
No, I like your take on that. That's 100% better than mine.
It's got the little bat ears and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that there.
Or is it lobster pinchers? It's
maybe.
Well, it really depends on your take. If you're looking at my vampire or Jen's vampire, apparently.
But I love it. I do. It's very like iconic. like you
Yeah.
said, you
Mhm.
see that armor, it's this movie.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The music is so good. It is so like ominous and creepy. Very well done. The cinematography is really good, especially for the era that it was done in. Like this was done in the early 90s, and I think it's like amazing. And I also read somewhere that they did not use any CGI in this movie. They
Oh,
did
really?
yeah. Yeah, they did like a whole lot of really cool like old school camera tricks. I think I put some of them down. Hold on. Techniques from early history of cinema such as rear projection, multiple exposure, forced perspectives, and the use of matte paintings and miniatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
So,
impressive.
Fantastic.
So impressive.
It's so impressive. I'm impressed. So, I mean, of course, we already spoke of Gary Oldman and what a phenomenal job he does in this movie.
Such an all-star
I-
cast. Such an all-star
Oh,
cast.
yeah, the whole
Hopkins too.
cast,
Anthony
right.
Hopkins. I mean,
Oh,
come
of
on.
course.
Miss
Love
Van
him.
Helsing.
Tom
Yeah.
Waits. I mean, I personally am a huge Tom Waits fan. I
Yeah.
love Tom Waits.
He does a good job in this too. Yeah, I like him as well. I like his music. He's the one that did crap, I can't remember.
You're talking
He
about
was in
Captain
some
Hook and
he was in
Shrek?
some other movie. No, he was in some other
Oh,
movie.
because he was Captain Hook and Shrek when the little drop
Oh,
of
maybe
poison song. That was him
that might be
singing.
what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Um I was gonna say Gary Oldman. His makeup and costume design is very memorable. And he's got like the boob hair going on, which they make fun of in Dracula Dead
Dracula
and
Dead
Loving
and
It.
Loving It. We said that at the same time, by the way.
Okay.
Just so you
Yeah.
know.
I wanted to rewatch that one, but I didn't. Some of the parts of this movie, I was like watching it and I was thinking of Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah.
And like reminiscing about those parts.
Yeah. The thing that kind of the
Boob
thing about
hair.
the thing with Dracula Dead and Loving It though is that like some of the shit in Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula that we're talking about, some of the shit in it is a little silly. And after you watch
Yeah.
Dead and Loving It, you kind of almost don't see it the same way again. Like you're
Yes.
almost like, wow, that's a little fucking silly, you know?
Exactly.
It almost,
Especially some of the parts where like Lucy, the friend of Mina,
Mhm.
she's like all over like all these other guys.
She's a very
Um,
thirsty woman.
very
Very thirsty woman.
in kind of a comical way, I
Yeah.
think. Or maybe it's the influence from Dracula Dead and Loving It. I don't know.
I don't know, but she would be really fun at a party, that Lucy chick. Good old Lucy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway. What the fuck?
I liked the fact that this movie is like very sensual without like really becoming porn. Because I did rewatch. No, sorry, I did not rewatch. I watched for the first time a movie from like a long time ago. I think it was like in the 70s, and it was like super pornish.
Mm.
Called Requiem of a Vampire.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember where I found it, but
Probably
it
in
was
the back of the movie rental place with the little beads in the
no.
doorway. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably where you found
Yeah.
I was gonna say Pornhub.
No kids
No.
allowed.
None of that. I don't know, somewhere online. One of the streaming things, probably Tubi.
You're not supposed to look up the vampire movies on Pornhub, Jen.
I didn't.
Just saying.
But this one, I mean, I had it like on in the background, and I was like, there's like a lot of noises coming from over there. But that one was straight up porn, really. But this
Did you
one
watch the whole
was
thing?
a bit. I mean, I had it
Yeah,
on in
you
the background.
did.
I
twice to
actually
double check, make sure that it was
It's
what
like,
you
was
thought
that
it
like
was.
porn? Let me watch it again.
Nah, I've seen enough of that in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But this one's a little
Me
bit more
too.
like tastefully done, kind of, like it's very sensual, but not too pornish.
Yes.
Yeah.
James Bond of
Um,
fucking darkness.
Yeah.
I like how you get several different visuals of him too. Obviously, his double D hair
Oh,
that he's got. And that's kind of his like I don't know if I'd call it necessarily like his sadness persona, but like his like weight of the world type of just angst type of look. And then when he's hurt, he obviously has like that almost like a bat looking face. That when he's been and it's been over 25 years since I've seen this movie. I just remember a lot about it, but I do remember him taking on his younger Vlad uh, face when he met Nina and was trying to woo her and everything.
A little
And he turned into like a
debonair.
yeah. And I mean, he looked good. And then wasn't there a scene where he like fell into like a pile of rats or something too, to escape
Turns into
some
rats.
people? Turns
Yeah, he
into a
turns
pile of
into
rats and escapes back. But yeah, so you almost kind of have a different visual of him based upon his state of mind or his feelings. So he had really four different looks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And one was a pile of
that was
rats.
kind of one was a pile of rats, but no, there was another one too.
It's like a werebat almost. Like he
Yeah.
was feeding on Mina's friend, and you got to see like his truly bestial form.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, remind me.
That was his cum face.
Remind me about, wasn't there like a white wolf in the movie too?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Who was
an
that?
albino wolf that escaped from the zoo. Actually,
Yeah.
that was when he was in London, but it looked exactly like the
Mhm.
wolves that were in Transylvania. So
I thought it was
Coincidence?
implied that he could turn into a wolf.
But he was right there next to the wolf, and they were petting him,
Yeah.
and Mina, with their leather gloves touching.
No, but that was one
Very
wolf.
sensual.
Wasn't there multiple wolves? Because I think even in the other movies, the original movies, there's like a lot of wolves involved, which is really weird because if you look at a modern take on vampires, like werewolves and vampires don't like each other. But
that depends. So in the movie, there's the I guess the wolves that chase down Keanu Reeves while he's in the carriage going to the castle, and he keeps stating about these wolves howling and chasing him up to like the blue inferno or whatever that was guarding the castle, and he brings it up to Dracula, and the wolves start howling, and there's the shadow play outside. So there are these white wolves. And you see it as soon as he arrives in Transylvania. There's this white wolf that jumps up on the hillside next to him. So the white wolves in this movie specifically are akin to Dracula. And in a lot of other vampire things, some vampires can like shapeshift into wolves, not just bats or rats or whatnot, but larger beasts. And I think what, Jake, you were talking about, where vampires are usually at odds against werewolves, I think that started with like Underworld and Twilight. It's usually
modern.
Any of the modern movies,
Yeah.
Because I feel like in books and things other than movies, so other media, it's usually like, Dracula or the big bad vampire is in charge, and, the werewolves just kind of follow him because he's the one in charge of the whole country.
He's the alpha.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, Steve, I had something for you here. I just noticed while we were talking. Prince Vlad's scream after he drives his sword into the cross is not the voice of Gary Oldman. It's actually the lead singer of the band The Cramps. They recorded his scream and dubbed it in.
Cool.
Never heard of the Cramps, but they did a hell of a scream.
They're pretty
surprising.
Pretty big punk band back in the day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, not a big punk person.
We know.
That Bleeding Cross
rock
was
and metal all the way.
That Bleeding Cross was the first blood that he drinks in the movie.
Yeah, but doesn't everything bleed? Like the eyes are bleeding, and it just
candles
blood.
Candle wax
the
turns into
candles.
blood.
Everything's fucking blood. They had a good blood budget. That other movie that we talked about last time did not have a good blood budget, but this had a good blood budget. They had like blood. They had oodles of blood.
Oodles.
Oodles.
Oodles the noodles.
Caboodles of blood?
Interestingly enough, there are 515 film or television works in which the character of Dracula has appeared. There's also even a SpongeBob SquarePants episode entitled "The Graveyard Shift," a horror film. Pastiche, in which a friendly Orlok makes an appearance. Oh, and fuck, there's that. I forgot to talk about that. We're gonna have that new Nosferatu movie coming up with my boy in it, so can't wait for
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's gonna be very exciting.
I want to see that.
Yeah, usually anything he's in, it's gonna be
Bill
Gonna be
motherfucking
pretty good.
Skarsgård.
yeah. I'm excited for it.
The
So,
Karatu.
Yeah. So, do you guys have anything else to add about Dracula? Phenomenal movie, phenomenal acting, very well done.
Yeah. So just to kind of skip ahead to more towards the ending of it. Lucy obviously got bitten. She turns into a vampire.
Poor thing.
Van Helsing knows that that's going to be the case. They cut her head off, right? They chase back Dracula to Transylvania because they defiled his earth that he brought with him and all that other shit. So Keanu Reeves gets married to Nina, and then she immediately decides, well, that was a bad idea. I want to go back to be with you again. Where Dracula says, I'm Dracula, I'm a vampire. And she's like, great, let's do this. And then he says that I can't force you to do that. And she does it anyway. And then he's like dead 15 minutes later, right? So I forget how I think he got stabbed, but I don't remember that part. So I want one of you guys to tell me.
She actually kills him.
He kills him. Yeah.
She's the one. Well, she finished it off, but he already had like a dagger in himself. So couldn't he have survived that? I guess was the point. And he decided to ask her to finish him off that way. That was kind of a weird way to put it, but
if you're gonna get finished off, Winona Ryder is not a bad person to ask.
That's one way to do it with a sharp instrument.
I think that and that's part of the romance of the movie, is that I think that he really did have this painful, kind of terrible existence. Like, I don't think it was fun, easy, or good to be Dracula. I think he was just trying to find anything good that he could. And of course, I think he found something good in the love with Winona Ryder that reminded him of his wife originally. And I think that was kind of the end of that movie. I think was just kind of him maybe just dying with that little bit of happiness that he had and just kind of ending this miserable existence. I don't know.
I always felt like he could have survived that. Like he was back home at the time, right? So, I don't know. But I thought that he made the choice to pass on for the sake of he was at peace and happy with it. But I also felt like he could have lived on and been with the woman that he wanted to be with too. So,
but would he have been though? Because they were there, they knew who he was. He was being tracked down. Like it was exposed. I mean, I don't know. It kind of felt like he was at the end. You know,
that's true. So I guess does Nina end up going out that way? Then do they catch her and kill her? I know they don't say anything about it, but I would assume that if they were onto him, they were onto her too.
Mina, are you talking about Mina?
Mina, yeah. Yeah, when she
is no longer a vampire now that he is dead.
So she can go back to Keanu Reeves and have a very awkward marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna like tell him what she did with
We're just never gonna talk about Dracula in this house, okay? I mean, don't mention his name.
He did some infidelity too, remember?
Vampire Wives.
It kind of wasn't his choice, I think. I think he was the R word.
Well, I think in the movie he heard her voice summoning him into the bedroom, and then he sat down and they just came out of bed. It's like, hey baby, what's up?
Rob, this is for you.
Scene. They come out of the bed.
I would have stayed there.
wasn't the woman from Irreversible one of his Dracula's brides in that movie?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't.
Well, you
think
been a
fucking
so.
while
should.
since I've seen that.
I don't think
It's been a while
so.
since I've
I'm gonna
seen
look it up
Irreversible.
though.
I think
Yeah.
I'm good with faces, and I don't remember her name, but I know she had like a brief little
So,
stint in the Matrix movie. But I can't remember her name, but
it's Monica Bellucci.
that's it. Yep,
Belushi or Bellucci?
Bellucci, like
Bellucci.
CCI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing her in IMDb under Dracula.
I swore she was in it, but let me take a
Maybe
look.
it was just a
I mean,
doppelganger.
why are we even here if we don't know everything? I'm just saying. I mean, come on.
Oh,
You guys-
you're right.
Oh shit.
Here she
he's
is.
right.
She was one of the brides.
That's right, baby.
All right.
Never question.
Ducky.
Mm,
All right,
Good job.
Well played.
there you go.
she must be
And
hot if you
also,
remember.
I'm also sorry you've seen Irreversible.
I haven't, but I heard, I like looked into it a little bit, and I heard the shit that she went through in that movie, which as an actress, I don't know how you could even go through with something like that, but I did remember her face, what she looked like, and everything, and I thought that she was in that movie, but I couldn't recall. Anywho,
Yeah.
So that was a great movie.
Yeah.
And
It's a very, very tragic love story.
tragic love story.
Yeah.
Moving on. Are we moving on?
let's move backwards 5 years.
Okay, so we'll go. I mean, I'm sure there was a Dracula movie 5 years before that. I mean, he's literally made 515 fucking appearances.
I figured you might get lost 5 years earlier.
He wasn't in Lost, actually.
I think he's talking about Lost Boys.
Lost Boys, you
Oh,
ripping
Lost
down
Boys.
the rabbit
I thought
hole.
I thought you said
Weirdo.
Lost.
I
I could
did.
have gone on for an hour and a half about the history of Dracula, but I decided that we'd move on with the show and not listen to me yammer on about that shit. All right, so Lost Boys. The title is a reference to Lost Boys and J.M. Barrie's stories about Peter Pan and Neverland, who, like the vampires, never grow up. Most of the film was shot in Santa Cruz, California. It was
It's
supposed
called
to be written.
Santa Carla in the movie, but you're right.
Santa Carla, yeah.
Well, yeah, well, I was going to get
Well,
to that.
Well,
that was the only
paused.
way they'd let them shoot there, was by changing the name of where they were because of all of the death and violence that was going on at the time.
Yeah. Murder
What,
capital.
in the movie or in the actual physical location?
No, in the actual physical 80s, Santa Cruz was one of the like murder capitals of the world and everything, and so
like
if they
for
were
real
gonna-
it was?
oh yeah, and they didn't want to have
not know.
a gang of misfits, running through in the same town, kidnapping people, all this other stuff. So they said the only way that you could shoot here was to change the name to Santa Carla, and they could continue to shoot in Santa Cruz. So I got a lot of weird info on this movie that I'll scatter about as we go.
Did
That's
you
a good
know?
one. I
Did
like
you
it.
know that the original screenplay written by Jan Fisher and James Jeremias was originally about a bunch of Goonie type sixth graders, kid vampires, about fifth and sixth grade kid vampires, with the Frog Brothers being chubby 8-year-old Cub Scouts, and Star being a boy instead of a love interest. Did you know that?
Yes, I
no
did.
shit.
Hence the Lost Boys and not the Lost Teenage Young Men. So they kept the name. That's what it was intended to be, was a group of younger kids. When they, I forget the director, when he picked it up, because he was also doing, the hell was the movie at the same time?
The director is Joel Schumacher.
What was the movie? Crap, I'll think of it. He was doing another movie at the same time, And even in that movie, there is I'll think about it. You guys go. I gotta look at this real quick. I'm having a brain fart.
Santa Cruz, where Santa Carla takes place, was once plagued by the reputation of being the murder capital of the world because of a series of very brutal murders by 3 different, very disturbed men in the early 70s. Oh, shit. Because of John Linley Frazier, Herbert Mullen, and Steve, remember this name here? Edmund Kemper.
Oh.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, that was Liza's favorite pick for the serial killer episode.
That's right.
So he was big in Santa Cruz. I didn't even remember that from Liza's episode, but I guess she probably said that. They endured 28 murders over a 30-month period between 1970 and 1973. Mm-hmm.
I do think it's interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it was also Corey Haim and Corey Feldman's first movie together.
The Corys!
The Corys. For anybody that was interested in the Corys.
I do think it's interesting that there really was like murder and stuff going on in that city. Since they do put that like on the back of that billboard, it's the murder capital of the world. I did not know that until I started delving into this movie.
It was Lethal Weapon that he was working on at the same time.
Oh, fuck. Lethal Weapon was good shit. I'm too old for this shit.
And in Lethal Weapon, there is a scene where they're outside, and in the background and the marquee, it says the Lost Boys were playing at the theater.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading that, actually. Yep. Okay. Oh.
I love little Easter eggs. That's cool.
There was Easter eggs. Well, hold on right here.
Yeah, for a girl that doesn't like holidays, I sure do like Easter eggs.
That's right. So do you have a synopsis for this one, Jennifer?
Yeah, I do.
Nice.
A mother and her 2 teenage sons moved to Santa Carla, murder capital of the world, in California. Sam, the youngest, finds 2 comic book horror nerds to be friends with. Michael, the oldest son, goes to a concert on the boardwalk and falls instantly in love with a girl named Star.
Sexy sax guy.
Yeah.
Tim Capello.
Yes, exactly. Many memes have been done.
I've seen him in concert. He rocks.
I was with you.
Yeah.
Now, when you saw him in concert, was he as oiled up as he is in this movie?
Yes.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
They oiled him up.
Was he wearing the chains?
He was wearing the full look. He had like
leather pants.
A little like revolver holster for his microphone and everything. It was awesome.
Nice.
Was he impregnating his saxophone still, like he did in the movie?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Making sweet love to that thing.
His saxophone.
There we go.
Ooh, saxophone. I like that. That's good. Saxophone.
Oh, I completely lost my place now. Now I'm like thinking about that guy and
Tim Capello has that effect on people.
You're getting all hot and bothered. You can't remember where you're reading. Okay, we see you.
It's a sexy sax man.
Where was I?
Rob gets hot and bothered by him too.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. She is part of a vampire clan and has already been claimed by David, their leader, who's played by Kiefer Sutherland. Very cool. The mom starts dating a guy that seems nice but is hiding a secret. And he gives her a job at a movie rental store that he works at. There's also their grandpa that seems eccentric but also knows more about what's going on than it seems at first. Most of the movie is about Michael changing into a vampire and basically kind of turning into an asshole. But still wanting to save the girl he loves and his family.
Oh.
Yeah. That's all I have for this synopsis.
Pretty good.
I have notes too.
The grandfather was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I really liked him. He's probably my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah. And the taxidermy.
No.
Was there like a deeper meaning behind that? Because if there was, I didn't get it. Like he kept giving his grandson these taxidermy animals, and I'm like, is that like supposed to be like, look death in the face? Like I was trying to find like a deeper meaning behind it.
I just thought maybe it was like some quirky ass shit, but I also contemplated that maybe it was like a nod to fucking Psycho.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the
Maybe.
director was into that or not, but I mean, whenever I think taxidermy, I automatically go to Norman Bates.
Norman Bates. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that's just me though.
Well, I'm
So
always
can
trying to
either
like
of you-
figure out deeper meaning.
Or any of you guys picture this movie without Kiefer Sutherland in it? Because he almost
Ooh.
wasn't in it. So
No,
He's
I
got to
he
be
found-
in it. Anyone
Yeah.
else? He is the face of
Perfect.
this movie.
He's perfect.
So
for this.
you guys are familiar with the soundtrack. In Excess has a song, and Kiefer Sutherland met them in Australia earlier on before shooting. And once he found out that they were involved in the movie too, to a degree, that's what kind of flipped the script on him to end up being in the movie, because he had doubts of wanting to take the role on.
So who
Oh.
was it supposed to be originally before Kiefer?
They never said. I've not seen. Although there were a handful of people that actually were in the what would you call it, like doing like during the casting to determine who they were going to cast. You know, Ben Stiller tried out for that movie.
What?
That would have been bad.
No. No.
Ben Stiller did, and there was one other person too that
I was gonna say,
Jim Carrey also.
but Jim Carrey was in a vampire movie called Once Bitten.
Yes, I love Once Bitten.
I was actually going to guess that it probably would have gone to Tom Cruise based on previous conversations.
Right.
Because it seems like Tom Cruise almost got every fucking role ever.
Yeah,
but didn't.
especially in the
Mhm.
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you know what? We need somebody. Call Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He'll
He
fuck
has
this
just
movie
enough
up.
of that manic, crazy energy that I think he would have been perfect as.
No, he would have ruined that fucking movie. He would have ruined that fucking movie. That's no good.
So back to the Ben Stiller thing. What role was he going for?
They
Which-
didn't
The
say
dog.
either, because he might have been the younger brother or the older. I can't remember which they said. They never stated, because he never got a call back or anything. But they didn't say what role he was actually there to try out for. But I do know him and Jim Carrey both had a brief screen time. Oh, and what is this is another movie that I haven't seen in a long time, but I did see it once upon a time. And there was, if we're going to talk about like kind of funny little quirks about these movies, there was an actress who was in the coffee shop, I think. I can't remember if it was the coffee shop or not.
In Lost Boys?
Yeah.
Talking about like when they're on their date, like the mother and the video store guy.
I'm trying to remember. I know there was a woman that gets credited for being in the movie, and she's not in the movie because she had like 12 scenes cut from the movie. So
Ain't
in
that
the
a bitch?
credits, her name's there, but she got yanked out of all of the scenes, and I think she was one of the like baristas or something like that. But I don't recall for sure.
That fucking sucks.
I do know the movie started out with a $20 million budget and ended up only being $8,500,000 budget once they decided that they were changing from a childlike type of movie that was more akin to like the Goonies, and going to one that they could be a little edgier with. They pulled back a lot of money, but they ended up making 32 million in the box office, so it ended up being all right.
It's not bad, especially for back then. That's probably like 120 now.
Yeah, made a legendary movie, one of the quintessential vampire watches.
Yeah. I noticed something when I watched the movie. I didn't find any research on it, but I did think it was kind of cool, and I'd never noticed it before. Just a small little thing. So the two guys that are like the comic book nerd guys, their names are Edgar and Alan. Edgar Allan.
That's
Frog
right.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if that was intentional, but
I mean, it might have been,
Right.
and honestly, like if the taxidermy thing is right, that it's a nod to Norman Bates, then maybe that's another Easter egg that this guy is a huge horror fan, you know,
yeah.
or the
Mhm.
writers are perhaps. I would like to think
Yeah,
that those
I thought
things
that
were
was
on
cool.
purpose.
I would like to think it was on purpose too.
I was just thinking about Corey Feldman the other day, and like, it's funny because Corey Feldman's not really like my favorite actor. I don't hate him. Like, I like Corey Feldman. I definitely like a lot of other people more, but I was thinking about it and I was like, that dude has really been in like so many, like it's like I grew up with the guy. Like he was in like every fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking Gremlins, you know, Goonies, fucking Lost Boys, The Burbs. I mean, the dude was just like in every movie that I enjoyed as a child. It's just like him and Warwick Davis are like, you know, the two I grew up with or something. Just a side thought. I was like, dude's been in a lot of shit. Anyway. So
Yeah, I think he had to suffer a lot to be in those movies too, sadly.
yeah, we heard about all the
Mhm.
molestation and shit like that. I think he
Yeah.
wrote a book about being abused by people. Wasn't one of them Charlie Sheen or some shit?
think
Being
so.
abused by like Charlie Sheen or something. I'd feel really bad if he wasn't, because I just like accused Charlie Sheen of diddling little boys. That's fucked up, Charlie.
I
But
do
I mean,
think
sure.
it's interesting, that whole like Neverland connection, because you know this is like Lost Boys, you know, and then there's like Neverland and Peter Pan, and then you know Corey Feldman has a tie to Neverland Ranch.
Michael
Michael
Jackson. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. That is really interesting. So also, did you know that there was a 2 video sequels called Lost Boys the Tribe and Lost Boys the Thirst?
Nope, never saw him.
I
Oh, see,
did hear about them. I heard they were on their own dog shit too. But
yeah.
Did
They
it
were
have
really.
any of the big stars in it?
but the second one had Kiefer Sutherland in it, right? Didn't he reprise his role?
I don't have that down here. I don't know if he did. Let me see
I
what we
didn't
got
see
here.
it.
We got. It was shot in New Zealand. Prints were shipped to some of the theaters under the fake title Red Impression. Sam Raimi was slated to direct the film when the script was in the earliest stages, but Raimi opted to produce instead. So Raimi produced them, but I think they still sucked. So I don't know. Too bad for Raimi.
They sucked.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I never saw them.
It's a good word. It's a good word for this particular episode.
Sucked. They fucking bite. You just spit your wine back in the glass.
No.
All the vampires have names. They're not mentioned until the end credits. Nearly half the cast is from New Zealand or Australia, which is probably why, because those movies have really gotten like popular nowadays. Nobody gave a fuck back then. Picture of Steve Niles, who wrote the original comic book, hangs in the attic height. Oh, what the fuck? The fuck? I think no, you know what? I fucking somehow, let's start over. Because that's all I had was that there's sequels. It wasn't shot in New Zealand. I'm on to the next fucking movie. I'm talking about 30 Days a Night here.
Okay.
Sam Raimi produced 30 Days a Night.
Now.
Okay, forget everything I just said for the last 2 fucking minutes. I gotta stop drinking and do this show. Anyway, guys, yeah, there's 2 sequels and they sucked. Period.
Well, it looks like Corey Feldman is at least in The Thirst. And for The Tribe, Corey Feldman again, and I don't recognize any of these other actors or actresses. So Angus Sutherland is in there.
Oh, is he like his brother?
He plays a character named Shane. I don't know. Haven't seen these movies.
Oh yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah,
They definitely weren't shot in New Zealand either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both rated a 5.0 and a 4.5 on IMDb.
Out of 50.
Oh.
Not that good.
My
Yeah.
favorite Sutherland in a vampire movie is Donald Sutherland in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which we'll probably talk about in a later episode. But
Mm.
great role there.
Yeah.
Last
the
little nugget
Sutherlands are very talented.
about younger Sutherland. So you remember he wears like biker's gloves throughout the entire movie
Hmm.
Yes.
because he broke his wrist monkeying around on a motorcycle during a shoot and actually had to have a small cast on. So he wore that glove to cover up his cast the entire shoot.
I mean, it works for the look.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah. He is like the epitome of cool in this movie, to me.
Okay. I mean, I'd say
I
the
mean, I'm a
grandfather's like the
sucker. I'm a
epitome of
sucker
cool
for
to
a
me.
trench coat.
So
So,
yeah, you would have loved Columbine.
oh God, no.
I don't know where that came from. Anyway, you were rooting for
was-
fucking killers in Columbine, you bitch.
No. I was more like talking about like the 80s and like the whole like Lloyd Dobler from like Say Anything. Like he
Oh,
wore the
okay.
trench
So not the
coat
trench
and-
coat mafia.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. I
More
see
like
what
the
you're saying.
80s, like the 80s outsider look was the trench coat.
Yeah,
And
it went
I'm a
into the
sucker. I'm a
90s.
sucker for that.
I had a trench coat when I was young buck. But
I have
anyway,
a duster, so almost.
Yeah,
almost.
duster is like very similar. It's the same.
it's
same
like a
concept.
trench.
It's a
It's like a
chance,
trench coat's like mentally handicapped little brother.
I went to high school with a kid who wore a long black leather trench coat, and under that trench coat, he
Nothing.
wore a full vest of chainmail that he made himself,
What the hell?
and he carried around a full-length broadsword in school.
You went to high
In
school with Rob?
school?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
You can't fucking do that nowadays.
No, this guy had a straight up 6-foot sword under his jacket and into his
Like a
pant
real
leg,
one.
like a real sword. So
real sword.
yeah, he worked part-time like in a steel shop or a metal shop, and so he made literally a chainmail like shirt and hammered out his own sword that he made, and he brought that shit to school every day. Yeah,
Why?
That's
yeah.
a
Because
lot
he
of
was
money.
a strange
picked on
cat.
anymore. There's nothing wrong with being mentally handicapped, by the way.
He was not that, but he definitely had his ass a sword in school. And the stranger thing was that nobody seemed to care. It was never confiscated. It was clearly sticking out of his jacket when he would sit down, but
Okay.
I guess it was a different
Oh,
time.
don't worry about it. That's just Billy.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right
Definitely
now,
down
though.
today.
People don't believe me when I tell them this, but when I was in history class in 7th grade, this was before the Columbine shit and all that, but I had a history teacher that was really hands-on. He was really like, not hands-on in the way that teachers are hands-on a lot nowadays, but he was very interactive. I can't really say this in any way that doesn't sound like he's molesting us, but he wasn't. The point is, the guy liked to.
You're telling me he's hands-on, not hands-off. So
he liked to
molestation.
teach in a different way. He was a great teacher. Anyway, he brought us out one time and we shot legitimate World War II weapons, like guns,
What the
in
hell?
the class. Yeah, I'm dead ass serious. Like this happened. Like,
Okay.
we all went out and we shot like fucking what are they? The fucking what did the Germans have that in Indiana Jones you can shoot through like 8 different
Luger?
people? Yeah. We shot Lugers. We shot Tommy gun, which I actually own one now. And just all the rifles and everything. We went out and we shot all the World War II, rifles and stuff. And tell people that story, and they don't believe me. And it's like the 90s, especially the early 90s, was fucking wild, man. You had kids riding in the back of trucks down dirt roads without seatbelts and shit. I mean, when you were like 3.
There wasn't even like a permission slip that had to be signed or something.
I don't remember that. I mean, maybe,
Something
probably.
strange.
What?
It happened.
Okay.
We also went to the Holocaust Museum that same year because he
Well,
liked to, fucking experience things
That's fun.
with the kids.
As long as he didn't pull those guns out at the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah, well, we just went and
All right,
shot
boys
them.
and girls, grab your Lugers.
We were supervised, and we just shot them to understand the pure power and deadliness of these weapons, so we could understand what was going on.
That's
Yeah, totally not
insane.
It was a
dangerous.
fucking different time, Steve. You know what I'm talking about, man. People didn't fucking. You could smoke in grocery stores back then, and fucking people didn't give a shit. You didn't
Smoke
have
on
seat
airplanes.
belts, and you didn't have all
Yeah.
that stupid stuff like seat belts and secondhand smoke and all that shit we have today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
More of
brain
a
damage is from
passive-
rolling around in the back of a car.
Like
with a
a
seatbelt.
passive killer smoking thing is passive killer, and you're talking about like playing with guns, which is direct.
Yeah, well, if we were shooting at each other, but we were shooting at targets. All right.
Just the same.
I am.
You mean targets like the other kids?
Listen, if one of our 3 viewers had some cool 90s stories about how easy and free going and shit it was back then, please add in the comments. You know you.
Yeah.
All 2 of you.
I'm older than you.
You are old. Oh yeah,
and
you're older than me.
I don't have any stories like that, but I guess my school was more sheltered.
Well, it was also a very traumatizing time because we didn't have seatbelts and we didn't know about secondhand smoking shit. So
Yeah.
maybe you blocked it out.
I do
I-
remember
no
being
kidding,
on the bus
was
and
a-
not having a seatbelt. Is that like a thing now?
Do they have
Still don't
seatbelts on
have
buses?
seatbelt on buses?
You
They
have
never
seatbelts
did.
on buses.
We never
Oh.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Remember
say
bus
something
driver
that's gonna paint me
fast.
into a picture, but we had when I was a little thing a 1963 split window Corvette Stingray for a brief time, and I was just a baby, and I was in the back, just rolling around with a blanket in there. So that's how we used to roll back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Just
saying.
rolling around in a blanket.
70s and 80s, baby. Put your baby in the back of the car and with a blanket and have fun.
Short
So-
cut off jean shorts, a halter top, some cocaine, and your baby rolling around in the back seat. That's the way it was.
That's it.
That was the
That's how it
time
is.
period.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
So anyway, you guys want to move on to 30 Days a Night, or you want to suck Kiefer Sutherland's dick a little bit more?
Well, as long as that might take, let's just keep an eye on things. I don't know how long you want to run, but
Oh yeah, well,
I know
I mean,
I've seen a couple of shows going almost 2 hours, and I'm like, whoa.
I feel like you guys aren't saying much tonight, so I feel like it'll go quick. We got a quiet group
Rude.
tonight.
Really?
I think
Rude.
so. No, I mean Jen's like a little drunk, and I think Steve's spaced out on
Uh-huh.
whatever the hell Steve's spaced out on.
On bog water.
Yeah, bog water. All right. So anyway, do you know that 30 Days a Night was shot in New Zealand?
I heard somewhere about that.
I've heard, yeah.
It
And,
wasn't shot in Antarctica?
The prints were shipped
Or
to some
Alaska?
theaters under the fake title "Red Impression."
It was actually shot in Jake's 7th grade class.
That would have been awesome. Sam Raimi was slated to direct the film when the script was in its early stages, but Raimi opted to produce instead. I bet you didn't know that. All the
May have heard it
vampires
somewhere.
have names. They're not mentioned until the end credits. Oh, let's see. Oh, a picture of Steve Niles, who wrote the original comic book, hangs in the attic hideout. The little girl vampire has arm tattoos that are visible for a few frames. The stick figure-like tattoo on her right arm is the logo of German industrial band Einstrudenzending Neubauten.
I'm gonna look that up later.
I don't think I'm fucking
Yeah,
angry enough
I
to
feel like
say.
that warrants a listen. I need to.
Yeah?
listen to
I
that as
am
well,
not.
right?
I like a little industrial from time to time.
They did.
Yeah.
They toured with Stupensteinsporten.
I'm not angry enough to read German. I think because they're like whatever the fuck. I don't know. Most of the night shots were shot during the day using the day for night process. Josh Hartnett did his own stunts. Melissa George did most of Stella's driving. This one here is pretty good. I like this. The vampires speak a completely different original language. It was created for the film with the help of a linguistics professor at a New Zealand university.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So it's like, Klingon or some shit from Star Wars.
I'm gonna say they do that a lot in Star Trek, making brand new languages off the cuff.
Mm. Mm.
I always used
Or,
to get a
if
kick
you're
out of
dating.
those movies that were shot in day and then they just dark screen it and you'd see like shadows all over the ground from obvious sun coming back here and yet there's a moon over there. I always thought that was interesting. Kind of a cheap way of filming at night
Yeah.
at noontime.
Or they could do like the original Texas Chainsaw and just film it at night and you can't fucking see anything.
There's that too.
That's a more interesting way to shoot at night. The setting of Barrow is a real city in Alaska. In reality, Barrow, not you. What I can't even fucking pronounce that word. The
Is it
different language.
Nilbog?
No, it's
We'll see your reference.
Yeah. In reality, Nilbog doesn't see the sun for 67 days, not 30. I'm actually talking about Barrow in Alaska. 67 days of night instead of 30. And it's really funny because alcohol is illegal there during that time period. And I don't know what the fuck else I would do. So there's that.
I guess they're worried about the depression.
Yeah,
you know?
like people kill themselves and shit
Seasonal-
without sunlight.
Seasonal depression, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, at the
Well-
same time, like, what the fuck are you going to do in the dark for 67 days?
Hmm.
I mean,
I mean,
Be an Olympic
an idea.
freaking triathlete to do what I think you guys are thinking. So
well, there was that couple in the movie, or a threesome in the movie. I don't know if you remember, but the girl was all playful, like, neither one of you are going to get me alone. And then they're all like, whose place
Oh
are we
yeah,
going to go to?
that girl. Yeah.
So there was this little threesome action going. Well, very quickly became some twosome action, but there was implied that there'd be threesome action.
She wishes.
Those are all the interesting facts I have. I can say that I oddly really like Josh Hartnett. I don't know. I've just always liked him. I always think of him and Jared Leto at the same time, but I don't think they have any relation.
Mm.
Anyway, back to the movie though. The movie was pretty good, and honestly, what the fuck? What's his name? Ben Foster was fucking great in that movie. That guy is
yeah.
always a really good psycho. He's the man when it comes to being a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. I
But
read
what I-
somewhere that he's supposed to be like the Renfield type character.
Yeah, and he was really good when he was in the diner and he's like asking for raw hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to bring me what I want to eat or what I want to drink. Yeah. Since when is it a crime for a man to want some fresh meat? I don't know. I'm surprised though he was able to make it around everything. I know it's a movie, but he made it around like that whole place and trashed all their fucking ways of communicating and like everything else. And it's like nobody noticed that shit. That was a little killed all the dogs, burned all the cell phones.
Yeah.
The lead vampire was great too.
There was definitely a feeling of like isolation, which I always like in those kind of movies, you know, with like the whole like winter Alaska type setting. I've just now been getting into that whole like Alaska type setting, as you know, because I've been watching Northern Exposure.
Love Northern Exposure. It's another great Alaskan.
I never saw it in the 90s, so I've acquainted myself with it now.
I used to, when I skipped school, it was on after Springer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Jerry Springer.
Yeah, it was like Jerry Springer. Well, I think it was like Maury Springer and then Northern Exposure for an hour, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I didn't go to school a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I almost never miss school, so.
Well, that's good. You made up for me. You guys got anything to add about 30 Days a Night, Quiet Guys?
I mean, I could speak if that's cool.
I'm just wondering because I'm looking at these two dickheads not saying anything. So,
well,
I've
you're
said
the
a
one
lot
that's
of
been
words.
talking.
what? I've been
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, just now.
All right. I'm not drinking next time. Hey, Rob, when are we gonna do that tuna shot, buddy?
When we rise from our graves and become undead vampire lords.
I'll,
drink
I'll
too
take
I think you
tuna.
need to.
I'll do it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
see, at least Jen's not going to be handsy about it.
I think you
So-
should use sardine water instead.
I would.
I'll still
I
do
don't
it.
I like sardines.
Me too. That's why I'm
Also
trying to
like-
get out of it a little easier.
I mean, tuna juice is probably about the same, really.
Like that
All-
Subway gazpacho, the tuna juice.
Yeah. So what was it? It was
Ooh.
what was it? It was fucking what was the drink? It was tuna juice, Tabasco, and something, right?
Vodka or something.
And tequila.
Tequila.
Oh, tequila.
Cool.
Yeah.
See, I don't drink a lot of tequila. Out of all that, tequila would be probably the thing
Same.
I'd want to drink the least.
You know, how do you
Same.
juice a tuna? So,
Squeeze
Out
it
of the
really fucking
can.
hard.
You just the juice in the can.
I mean, how long does it take to get sesame seed oil? That shit's small. No,
I have sesame oil in my pantry right now.
I do also, but I'm like, how many sesame seeds have to die for that one jar of oil?
I don't want to think
How do
about
you
that.
milk an almond to get almond milk?
There's no tips. I have no
Little
idea.
that's true. Probably you milk it the
Almond
same way
cheese.
that you juice a salmon or a tuna.
Yeah, but a tuna might. Well, tuna's at least got reproductive organs. I don't know why that matters. Almonds don't. Wait, almond joys have nuts. Fuck, I don't know.
That's an almond joy. So
I don't
those
know.
almonds are made for joy, not for milk.
See what you did there. Jen, why don't you talk to us about 30 Days a Night?
I've been drinking too much wine.
I was gonna say, what is this? Just like the Let's Get Fucked Up
I'm
episode?
like super giggly, like extra. Yeah. I didn't do a synopsis. I wrote down like a few things.
Okay.
Half of them you already said. So.
Ooh.
Oh, I liked the line. There's like one line in the movie that I really liked, and I forgot who says it. But it's that cold ain't the weather. That's death approaching.
Ooh, that was good.
I thought that was a good line.
That would have made a good ending quote.
Oops, did I steal
And
your?
scene.
No,
Did I steal your end quote?
I got another one. I'm good
Oh, okay.
somewhere.
He's going to tell
I
us that OJ's still dead or something.
But he is still
Yeah.
dead.
Is
He's
he?
not
or
a
is he
vampire.
undead?
Hey, now, how would you
He can-
juice OJ?
I don't even want to think.
Well,
about
Maybe
he
it.
for a
can
different
now
show.
finally rest in peace now that his wife's killer is dead.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
sure.
true.
I'm sure OJ is juicing right now as we speak. To be honest.
Yeah, for the worms.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that not too many movies have vampires in the snow. So I think that the concept is pretty good. You know, having them like come to Alaska like during the time where the region is like has like no sunlight. I do think the concept is pretty good. I honestly felt kind of lukewarm about this movie. I didn't really like it that much.
Wow.
I feel like I'm
Wow.
going to get a lot of like backlash from that.
Get her, Rob.
but
Get her.
I
I mean, it
didn't.
was
I mean,
okay.
What?
thought-
That was a great fucking movie.
yeah, it's okay. Like I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. But I didn't think it was that great. Lukewarm is the
Mm.
word I used in my notes.
Wow.
I
Pretty strong words
I
for
did-
such a cold place.
yeah. It was intentional. So I did think that the vampires looked pretty cool. Like I thought that they looked kind of neat. I did like the main vampire. I did recognize him from he's an American Horror Story.
Oh shit. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's in a lot of other things too, but I know him from American Horror Story.
Mm.
And you know, I thought the ending was kind of weak.
Mm.
The self-sacrifice at the end, and
I mean, self-sacrifice, of course, you know, has like an emotional tie to it. And of course, I felt, you know, sad for him, and I like, you know, seeing like a self-sacrifice kind of thing going on, you know, because that's very noble. But don't know. It just seemed like kind of flat to me. I didn't like this movie that much. It was okay, but it's not gonna be one of my favorites.
Well, you're wrong, but
Go ahead and tear me up.
I'm not gonna tear you up. I mean,
It
teach their
it
own.
was fun. It was above mediocre. Like, it was an enjoyable movie, but it's not something I've seen more than 2 or 3 times.
I've seen it a lot. I think it's good. You
Oh,
know what is
Rotten
bad?
Tommies gave
know what
it a
is-
51.
Oh. You know what is bad though is the sequel where she actually brings Josh Hartnett back and then he dies again.
What? I didn't
Is
know
it
there
30
was a
Nights
sequel.
of Day?
That's pretty bad, actually. I wouldn't even
Yeah.
bother with the sequel. I don't even want to talk about it, quite honestly.
What is the
30
name of the
Nights of
sequel?
Day.
What is
curious.
the name of the sequel?
Three
I don't
Dog
know.
Night.
I don't know. I didn't write it down because it was really bad, so I didn't even think I'd bring it up.
I know that band.
But
Mhm.
on a side note, though, because we're probably never going to talk about this one in a future vampire show. I'm sure we are going to have a future vampire show. And for those listeners that may be interested, I think Liz is even working up a Buffy the Vampire Slayer / Twilight episode. I look forward to that.
Ooh.
And a movie that I saw, and because all roads lead back to Stephen King, I watched it the other night, and it was Night Flyer. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not, but it's about a vampire who travels by plane at night, and there's these 2 reporters that are competing to get the story for like one of those tabloids. The thing I really liked about this movie is it felt like a long, really good episode of Tales from the Crypt. And I don't know how to explain that except for you watching it and seeing if you get the same vibe. But it was like the way it's filmed and maybe the way the acting was. I will tell you this, and this is kind of an interesting thing. If you watch like the second scene where the guy's in the office, you can actually see the mic kind of like right here in the.
Oh,
So I noticed that the other night. So it's probably not the most detailed, high budget movie, but it did feel like a long Tales from the Crypt episode. And growing up watching Tales from the Crypt, I really enjoyed that about the movie.
Is that an 80s or 90s movie, or when did that come out?
I want to say it's the 80s. I don't know the exact date. I figured you'd probably fill me in on that just because you know the date of everything.
Night Flyer?
No.
Night Flyer. Stephen King. It was based off a Stephen King short story.
97.
97.
Oh,
Really?
Oh, wow.
That's
Wow.
what
Yeah.
IMDb is saying.
I would have honestly guessed earlier, but yeah, it was really. Well, I guess that was around the time Tales from the Crypt was really popping.
That's,
though.
yeah.
90s, yeah.
90s were Tales of the Crypt,
Yeah.
90s. Yeah.
Creep Show, all those good.
Yeah,
Good
It's
watches.
more
yeah,
80s.
yeah. Goosebumps
Yeah,
and
good point. That is more
Yeah.
80s.
yeah, that is. But Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark was definitely 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
The vampire character's face is very similar to the 92 Stoker one.
I thought about
Yeah.
that too. It did remind me of the. It did remind me of that actually a little bit. I remember when I watched it, I thought of that. And I'll tell you this: Night Flyer, like the end of Night Flyer, you know how like Tales from the Crypt always had those cool little twists at the end where
Yeah.
shit wasn't as it seemed. Like the movie's got that as well, and it's actually a pretty cool kind of twist on things. And I'm not even going to give that up because normally I wouldn't give a fuck about giving up a twist on this show because I feel like whatever. But this was good. I guarantee you it's going to be hit or miss. I guarantee you some people are going to be like, "Fuck that movie, it's outdated," blah blah blah. But I really enjoy it.
Well, there's a few
know.
instances of vampires on planes. Dracula 3000. He basically is revived while they're flying back from wherever with his coffin. And then The Strain. The Strain, the show.
Okay.
Like, it all starts off with this plane just kind of showing up on a runway out of nowhere. No, like it came down from the sky completely blank, nothing on it, no
radar.
no radar. It just was there
Yeah.
on the tarmac on the runway. And then it was like a CDC response team coming down because it's The Strain, and vampire. Surprise.
Night Flyer's plane was really cool. It was actually like kind of this old school looking like all black plane. And he would go to like the smallest airfields, and he would kill people there. That was what he did. Yeah, it was really, I don't know. I think it's worth checking out if you guys like Stephen King, if you guys like vampire stuff. I mean, like I said, it's going to be hit or miss. I guarantee you some people would love it. Some people would think it was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I'll try to check that out.
But anyway.
I think I've seen it before. It's just been so long.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Well, you can
I
borrow
don't
it.
remember that.
You can borrow it at Jake Buster.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's not even my recommendation. But since we are about that point, if you guys want to kick off the recommendations, I guarantee you we're going to have another vampire episode. I want to say that before you start. And also for any of you, our one viewer out there that probably really enjoyed watching our old episodes that I was putting on Spotify, that is over. We have officially put all of the old episodes I'm going to post up there. So this episode, when it comes out, will be solo. Anyway, that's new news. That's what I got for you. Jen, what do you recommend?
Well, I did rewatch Near Dark. I rewatched it because, I knew we were going to do Lost Boys. And this movie was done the same year of Lost Boys. Yep. It was just like, I think a few months after Lost Boys came out. So it did not do very well in the box office. Because of Lost Boys, I guess. But I do feel like it has like some merit. Like I think there was like some cool shots done with like the fog and the shadows. It has some notable characters in it. The cast is good. There's Lance Hendrickson, which everyone knows from Alien.
Everybody loves Lance Hendrickson.
Yeah.
He was
and
also
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton's in fucking everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Bill Paxton.
Are you sure it's Bill Paxton and not Bill Pullman?
It is Bill Paxton.
That's my favorite game.
I know the difference very well.
Rob and I always play the game Bill Paxton or Bill Pullman because they get confused a lot.
I would win that game for sure. But I do love them both. Sometime. I do love them both. This movie is a little bit like darker and grittier than Lost Boys if you're going to compare them. But I mean, Bill Paxton has like some great lines in this movie. I didn't write down any of the lines, but I remember a couple. Like he says, like "finger looking good." It's kind of like the southern. It's like the southern version of Lost Boys. Yeah, it's like it's.
There's a vampire over there.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's like that. It's
Let's go
it is
get
called,
him, Paul. All right, I'm done.
It's called a horror western, but it's not exactly a western. I mean, it's the Midwest, and it's a little bit like southern kind of.
Sounds west of us.
Yeah,
maybe not south of us though.
Yeah, exactly. It's done in Oklahoma actually, but yeah, Midwest. But it's definitely got that like country vibe to it. But I think it's worth a watch. I liked it. It's not quite as mainstream, I guess, as Lost Boys. It's not as well known, for sure. But it has some good parts.
First
some
time
good
I heard
lines.
about it was from you. So yeah.
And the music is done by Tangerine Dream. The same people that did the music for Legend.
No.
Yeah. I do
Tom
like
Cruise
me
wasn't
some
in this.
Tangerine Dream.
Tangerine Dream.
Yeah.
I think my favorite Lance Hendrickson role was Pumpkinhead.
Oh, yes.
Pumpkinhead. Yeah.
Love
Me too.
Pumpkinhead.
I liked him in Pumpkinhead.
Yes.
That was a very heartbreaking movie. Anyway,
yes, it's very sad.
Very sad movie. Anyway, Rob, you got a recommendation?
Sure. I would like to recommend The Strain as a TV show, but that's a lot of commitment to watch an entire show, but it's one of the best. It's very different than a normal vampire portrayal. It's completely different. I really enjoyed it. But instead of that, I'm going to actually say watch VHS.
VHS.
Movie.
I didn't see that one coming.
It's a movie that's like a whole bunch of short stories packed together. Basically, it's the very first VHS movie. There's a few different ones. I think there's 3 might be 4 in total. But the first one, they find these VHS tapes, and you play them, watch them, and it's basically unexplainable phenomenon that happens in these tapes, and one of them is about this vampire chick, and you're not really sure what she is or what's really going on, but eventually she ends up being a vampire.
Wait a second. Is this like where they bring her into a room, like a
Yes.
hotel room?
So this is the
Oh,
fun
shit.
thing is they had almost
Shit.
no, I guess, any type of promoting for the movie. And that one scene leaked on the internet in like, just like, what was it, like Reddit forums and 4chan and
I think
just,
I saw
like,
it on
weird
PornTube.
underground recesses of the internet, and it just like exploded. And that's really the reason why the movie did as well as it did, and then had sequels and sequels and sequels, is because this vampire scene was leaked on the internet, and it, like, people were losing their minds over it, had no idea what it was. What is this? Where is it from? And I was one of those few people that saw it before the movie came out, and it was one of the coolest things like I had seen. It was awesome. And yeah, each of those little short stories is fantastic. It's a crazy movie. It's awesome. It's a whole bunch of fun. Definitely recommend everyone should watch it. 100%.
I don't think I really saw it on PornTube, but maybe. I don't remember. But it's definitely like in that direction.
It's close.
Yeah, it's like a scary casting couch kind of moment. Anyway, Steve, what do you got for us?
Let's do what's it called? Let the Right One In. You guys ever seen
Good
that one?
one. Yeah.
About 15 years old, I think. Obviously, it's a vampire movie about a can't remember if he's a teenager yet, but he's a young kid, gets bullied, and meets a neighbor who's a little girl about his age, and through their growing fond of each other, he learns a interesting secret about her. So, but that I thought, and I only saw it when it came out, which was a while ago. It was probably 15 years ago. There you go.
There it is.
I remember it being really good, even though it's kind of catered more to a more of a youthful mindset. It still played out to where an adult would enjoy the movie. So, yeah, I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I remember the swimming pool scene for sure. That was a cool scene.
I remember the swimming pool scene in It Follows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
There was one in that as well.
That was a good recommendation, Steve. I'm going to go with not a vampire movie this time, actually. Just recently, I watched this movie called Possession, starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Kira Sedgwick. Even though Kira Sedgwick, I don't think she's a great actress. I think the best thing that she's ever done in her life was marry Kevin Bacon. But it's made in 2012 when their youngest daughter, Natasha Callis, becomes strangely obsessed with a unique wooden box bought from a yard sale. Parents Clyde, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Stephanie Kira Sedgwick see little cause for alarm. However, M becomes increasingly unstable, leading the couple to fear the presence of the malevolent force. To their horror, Clyde and Stephanie learn that the box contains a how do you say that shit? The is it Dybbuk? The Didac. The spirit boxes that the Jewish people had, they put the spirits in there as like a Didac box. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
A dislocated spirit that inhabits and ultimately devours a human host. Sorry, the drinks have made it hard to read. Anyway, it was a possession movie, which I usually don't actually care much for, but in this particular case, I liked Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I thought it was actually a pretty decent movie. I don't know. I'd give it a watch if I was you. I liked it.
I
Something a
think
little different.
that's the way I would probably go out. If I was in a horror movie, I would go out from buying some crazy like ancient box from a yard sale or a thrift store because that's what I do. I like to go to thrift stores.
Yes.
You should just be in the cabin in the woods. Just walk into the
Yeah.
basement, pick an item. What's it gonna be?
Yeah. Oh, I do love that movie.
When I first watched that movie, I had no idea what I was getting into. Like I didn't know what it was, and as it unfolded, it was friggin' hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the classic for sure.
I'm not
I
gonna lie.
want to mention
Writing.
to you guys before we shut it down something that I think you all may be interested in. Elizabeth pointed it out to me last week. Have you guys heard of a movie coming out called Long Legs?
Yes.
Heard of it, but I don't know
It's got
much
Nicolas
about it.
Cage in it.
It does, and although they
Okay.
don't show anything about him in the trailer, there are a bunch of obscure and weird videos that are coming out about it. It looks extremely intriguing. So I thought if you guys hadn't heard about it, you might want to look into it because it'll be something I'll be watching when it does come out for sure.
Yeah, it's on my list. I was actually thinking about maybe going to the theater for that one.
Yeah, I think that one would be a theater
Okay.
watch. It's the amount of
Yeah.
weird stuff that they've promoted for the movie has been so strange, so eclectic. The team that's behind it really cares about the movie, and I feel like it's going to be pretty good.
I think so.
Well,
also,
hopefully it's not too hyped up, and then we get kind of disappointed if we
Yeah,
watch it.
okay.
Yeah,
well, I might go check that one out. If you guys are going to the movies, go ahead and let me know because I'll come out for it.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
I would see that.
Yeah.
All right. So with all that being said, we're getting ready for the quote. I think next week's episode is going to be really fun. For those viewers that watch us or listen to us, listeners, viewers, I think next week we're actually coming into this with like no agenda. We're just going to discuss random horror things. I kind of just wanted to free ball the week and sort of, I got some stuff I want to discuss and vent about and complain about a little bit and, some good stuff too. But I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in for that shit because I'll be there. So here we go. This is the quote. We've all become God's madmen. All of us. Dun, dun, dun. From what?
Oh man,
I think it was
It's
Paul
pretty
Pat.
good.
I'm definitely
Yeah,
checking out.
he asked a woman, he's like, "Are you from Ireland? Because my penis is doubling." It's like that's a fucking awesome line. And then in that movie too, they're like taking spank shots, like mind picture frame shots of the women and stuff. That movie was fucking dumb.
Not upskirts at Target.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was here in Greenville.
I mean,
Wild shit. 5 counts of felony, probably more.
I'm sure I'll see him soon.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll let you know what I find out with what's her face tomorrow, but I'll maybe try to set it up for next weekend.
I think I am going to start recording us talking after the fact, just because I want to get like a bloopers reel or something.
Yeah.
Get Rob and
Well,
Rob.
I'm out. I'll see you guys
later.
Bye.
Right. Yeah.
Peace.
I'm out as well. Y'all have a good one.
All right.
Clink.
Maybe I can't leave the session anymore.